Welcome back, everyone. It is the weekend recap, and we are Simply Bitcoin. We break down the news, the daily fail, meme review, software releases, hardware releases, and the pleb sites. Joining us today, two return guests. We've got the hosts of Bitcoin Kindergarten, and also we've got a memer from the Meme Tards. That's right. We've got Weinicus, and we've got our new clip master and our Twitter master of chaos. We've got Optimist Fields that's joining us, and we are diving into the numbers. Let's do it, people.
Number time.
Brought to you by Nodl. They make some of the best Bitcoin nodes, like the Nodl Dojo, the one I'm holding in my hand. Red means faster. Run your own version of Bitcoin Core and the Lightning Network, all in the comfort of your own home. Remember, guys, if you don't run your own node, you're using someone else's. Take your sovereignty back completely, and you could do that by running a Bitcoin node like the Nodl.
At the time of this recording, the block height is 733,398. The Bitcoin price, 39,650. Chain rewrite day, 721. Total public Lightning capacity, 3,636.67. Moscow time, 25:22. Blocks to the halvening, 106,602. And the Samurai Whirlpool unspent capacity. Samurai Whirlpool is a coin join or collaborative spend. It is not a mixing service. And the unspent capacity in that pool is 4,515.58 Nico. The numbers, the very uneventful weekend numbers.
The numbers, bro. Bitcoin is the new stable coin. I was looking at some other metrics in there that I found interesting. We're 42% from the all-time high, and it's been 165 days since the all-time high. Dude, a whole lifetime in Bitcoin time. Now, Phil, before we started recording the show, I told you I was going to throw a curveball, right? And Phil's a Taurus, so he doesn't like, things changing, right? He likes things the same. Unlike
Has to be predictable.
I don't care. I'm on the fly. I'll fucking pivot, do this and this and that. Phil's like, this is how things have to be every day. So I didn't tell him what I was going to do before the show so that you guys could see him uncomfortable in real time, because that makes good TV. So instead of me doing the numbers today, Optimus, what do you got for us, brother? Optimus is going to host the number time.
All right, guys. I am here. Let's just hope I don't bomb this one. But I'm here to what I think is some bullish news, guys. This is a narrative that I am definitely out here trying to champion, guys. So I'm going to read this tweet. This says, this is some Glassnode hopium. Of course, I'm the pleb now with the Glassnode account, guys. You better lose your mind and watch out. But check this out. The percentage of the Bitcoin supply last active 1+ years ago just crossed 64% for the first time ever. The percentage of old coins continues to trend up, guys. So what I see here and what I love to see, and this is the narrative I'm pushing, guys, is that we are seeing more hodlers out there, guys. More people are starting to understand the sound money gospel. And guys, is this the prelude to the pump? Because we all know what happens when people are holding the coins. And if you're watching, it's crazy out there, guys. There's a bunch of crazy information out there. We're living in crazy times. But I can tell you, my oracles are telling me that the time is close. But who knows, man? Is the market going to fall out on us, or is it going to pump? Is this the hopium, or is this mass adoption? I don't know. But, man, I saw this tweet from Guy Swan as well. And I think this just sums it up perfectly. Look, Guy Swan says, at 8% yearly inflation, after 9 years, $1 million retirement pension plan will only have $472K in purchasing power. The real inflation rate measured by 1990s rules is closer to 15%. So in 9 years, that 1 mil becomes $213K. Do people understand how much they are being robbed? So guys, I don't know if people are waking up to this narrative, but if you go back to these numbers, guys, it seems like we have more hodlers out there. And, man, I think people are starting to feel inflation. The inflation narrative can't be held down much longer. We're seeing it everywhere. It's the prices are getting more expensive for everyone out there, guys. They can't hide it. So, are we getting more hodlers? I don't know. Nico, Phil, what are your thoughts?
Dude, Phil, so how uncomfortable do you feel? Optimus, please stop sharing the screen so we can go back to the viewer. But you did a great job, my friend. And I heard a little bit of nervousness in your voice. You fucking you killed it, my friend. So yeah, dude, that's a lot of signal, right? The glass node. This is something that we've been telling you guys for a long time, right? The percentage of Bitcoin that hasn't moved in a long time continues to go up. In fact, it's actually at a higher point than it was at the previous all-time high last year, right? About 100, really, since, because there was two all-time highs, but the really important one was the run-up of the before the summer of 2021, right? The all-time high in November, it was I really wouldn't consider that the run-up, right? So the signal there, right, is that there's more hodlers now than there was in that previous all-time high. Now, in terms of the inflation, yeah, dude, listen, they're trying to spin it in so many which ways possible, right? It's Putin's fault. It's it's the sickness, the virus. It's that fault. It's the supply chains. There is no inflation. It's transitory inflation. But here's the thing about inflation, right? And I was actually talking to a buddy of mine about this over text today. No matter how much propaganda you throw on it, the sticker shock does not lie. When you go to the store and you try to buy some milk or some eggs, right? It doesn't matter what the people on TV are telling you. At the end of the day, that is hurting your wallet. That is hurting you. And you don't care and you want answers. Why? Because it threatens your family. It threatens your ability to put food on the table. So yeah, man, these are overall bullish stats for Bitcoin, and a round of applause for Optimus for the first time hosting the numbers section. Now, Phil, how uncomfortable did that make you feel?
Yes, very. I wasn't ready for that, but it was awesome. He did a great job. I thought that was amazing. Definitely, you know what? I would say better than when we did our first episode.
It was. And for you guys,
it was.
I'm going to play a clip of the first time just so you guys can see it. What's up, guys? Welcome to the first episode of Simply Bitcoin.
It's happening, Bitcoin accumulation country.
You should. I was rewatching the first episodes, and guys, you guys all have to go watch this first episode and troll Nico and Phil on how far they've come. They're literally so good. Like, if you see the first episode now, it's literally amazing.
It was so bad. Okay, but anyways, going back to what he covered. All we keep seeing are these bullish stats, right? These bullish Glassnode stats about, the amount of Bitcoin that's not moving, the amount of Bitcoin that's leaving exchanges. So I have one question. Who the F is selling? Who the hell is selling? All that tells me is that there's maybe enough powerful people out there that are possibly trying to create a story where, it wears people down. That is something that I've heard. I don't know if it's really true. I, of course, don't have the capability to, figure out if it is true. But I do know that in stocks, that does happen as well, where you will have stock activity that will essentially wear down the holder, right? Or in our case, the hodler. And let's face it, if your conviction's not strong enough, you're like, all right, Bitcoin's dead. I'm out of here. Keep in mind, Bitcoin has continued to die on its way up. Just when you think it's dead, just when you think, all right, I'm done hodling, just hodl one more day. Okay, I had to use that myself.
And I think you brought up a really good point, Phil, right? Look, if you're into Bitcoin as an investment vehicle, right, the volatility is going to be tremendously difficult. If you've done the work, right, and you're in it for the revolution, the peaceful revolution, right? You're holding Bitcoin because you know that if you sell it, what are you selling it for? Dog shit. Literally, that is fiat money. They can print it out of nothing, right? So think about it. If you sell Bitcoin, you're selling into what? What is better than Bitcoin, right? So, but I think that it takes a lot of time, a lot of work to get that understanding. Anyways, I'm going to pass it on to our favorite decentralized homeless person that makes the memes for Simply Bitcoin, the legendary Winekiss. What are your thoughts on this?
I saw the inflation numbers, and all I have to say is, not my unit of account, not my problem. So, no, but in all seriousness, I think it's great that the numbers are a little bit down in terms of Bitcoin price, because if you're somebody like us that's stacking constantly, you want to get as much cheap Bitcoin as possible. So inflation up, Bitcoin down, sideways chop, good time to hit your stacking goals.
Yep, and if you're someone like Weinicus that gets paid by Nico to make memes, it's awfully much better the Bitcoin price being down so he can get more sats. Sneaky Schweifer, and that is the wine. Anyways, Phil, it's time for
the Daily Fail, brought to you by Amber App. Check them out, amber.app, a stacking app by actual Bitcoiners. Low fees, fair spreads, smart automation. The link is down below.
Amber, the smart way to stack sats.
So obviously, Corey Swan is not the fail, okay? It's the screenshots that he took. And big shout out to Corey and Swan Bitcoin. We love them. Our channel loves them. Anyways, we are diving into this. This is a great tweet. Laugh out loud at DeFi. Indeed. Such decentralized. And look, guys, this is what we've been telling you from the beginning. Let's dive into these screenshots. Here we go. What is Uniswap? It's a completely different type of exchange that's fully decentralized, meaning it isn't owned and operated by a single entity and uses a relatively new type of trading model called an automated liquidity pool. Well, that sounds promising. That totally sounds
liquidity
promising.
Protocol.
Thank you.
We're in big trouble if both of us can't read. Like, we're totally fucked.
No, what do you mean? It's more entertainment, and not only that, but it's like a Where's Waldo. It's like a Where's Waldo. People have to guess. Like, is what they're saying actually what they're reading? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Okay, anyways,
this is actually very true. This is very true.
Nobody knows. We don't even know. Okay, here we go.
Like, it'd be absolutely hilarious one day if I was like, Nico. I'm like, Phil. What does that word say? You're like, I don't know.
And we both just can't read it. Moving on from that word we don't know. We're going to try to paste the story. Okay, here we go. All right, so here's a, I don't know if it's a tweet or, anyways, a message. Here we go from some shitcoiner. I strongly advise against using Uniswap, right? We were just telling you how Uniswap is touting itself as decentralized. And here we go. There's a blocked address. This address is blocked on the Uniswap Labs interface because it is associated with one or more blocked activities. So, guys...
Even worse. If you believe there's an error, compliance at Uniswap.
Okay? You're absolutely right. And, guys, this is exactly... Look, before we dive into the heavy part of this fail... This is what we've been telling you, right? It's decentralized in name only. Mm-hmm. This is all hocus pocus. It's all magic. We actually covered, we covered, there's an issue with Uniswap that we covered last week, and I even explained, it's not decentralized. Right here, there's Uniswap Labs. It's a central entity. We're not just making this stuff up. And here you go. You've got evidence. People's transactions are being blocked by a central entity, and as Nico pointed out, you can email their compliance department.
Dude, the fact that they have a compliance department tells you that it's what I've been telling you guys is a continuation of the old system. Look, if a cryptocurrency does not have sufficient decentralization, it will inevitably be captured by government, by the state. There's only one cryptocurrency that's able to do that, and that is Bitcoin. The rest are centralized. There is a central point of failure, right? With Ethereum, we've brought you guys the receipts many times. 70%, it's estimated 70% of Ethereum nodes run on servers. About 43% run on AWS servers, meaning Jeff Bezos could fuck Ethereum so hard, right? XRP, it's the same, right? It's a bunch of nodes, right? That the XRP people run themselves. If you want to run an XRP node, you have to be approved by the Ripple Foundation themselves. It's like it's ludicrous, right? And the reason that they all do this is because they try to sell you that, oh, look, we have so much more functionality than Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin's boring, Bitcoin's old, right? Bitcoin is the way that it is because it values decentralization above all. And if you really want to separate money from state, the only way to do that is with a decentralized cryptocurrency because there is no metaphorical head to chop off, right? And again, we've been saying this for the longest time. I'm just happy that, look, and an actual example has finally popped up in the wild, right? So yeah, shout out to Corey for taking a screenshot of that. Anyways, I'm going to pass it on to the legendary Optimus Fields. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I was on this show last week. I forget what the fail was, but I said play stupid games, win stupid prizes, and we're back saying the same thing. But guys, it's what Nico and Phil have been telling you guys. It's like most of these shitcoins are companies, and if you've read any of the early works, my favorite one from Zaba, trusted third parties are security holes. Guys, we're here to create a different system, not recreate the same system, but worse. So guys, you guys got to get out of your shitcoin hopium bags and understand that Bitcoin is the way, and your life will get so much better. It's really that simple.
It really is, dude. It really is. When you change your unit of account to something that isn't stealing from you consistently, yeah, dude, I completely agree, man. It gives you hope for a future where, as before, there was none. Anyways, Weinicus, what's up, dude? What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I can't believe that I'm still seeing this stuff after many, many years. And I mean, there's a whole segment of this show that launches every day called Simply Bitcoin covering this stuff. So the fact that you have enough content that daily fails, it's just never ending. Like, when are people going to realize what's going on? Like, I don't know. I've been hearing about this stuff already for years and years, and it never ceases to amaze me.
Dude, but Weinicus, you know what it is? We're too toxic, right? We're just toxic, ignorant,
illiterate,
Bitcoin maximalists, right? Illiterate. We just don't understand tech.
That one is actually
what else?
That
we
one's
don't
actually
understand
true.
Innovation.
The illiterate one is actually true, though.
Nico can confirm.
That's fine, though. But all that other stuff is false.
Oh man.
But anyways,
the illiterate part, maybe they have something there. By the way, I'm not the only Bitcoiner, by the way, that suffers from this too, because I think Ben the Car Man can't spell either, or can't read. Anyways, so I'm not the only one. All right, I think it has to do with the autism, maybe. Anyways, Phil, what is the last fail? What's the big boy for today? What's the big boy?
Get ready. Here we go. Okay. This is going to, you know what? This might even rattle Weinicus as a world traveler.
Weinicus doesn't get rattled, bro.
I know he doesn't, but he might. He might get rattled by this one. Anyways, here we go.
He cares about memes and schweefing. That's it. That is one.
Memes and schweefing?
And traveling. 3 things.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm going to be interested to see what he thinks about this. So Tyler Carditis, CEO of Blaze Media. Not a small account. Here we go. Are you paying attention, Anon? Let's read these two tweets. And just keep in mind, right, this show is about Bitcoin. Doesn't matter who the politicians are. It's about the message. Let's dive into it. Here's the first tweet from Barack Obama. As part of this, tech platforms need to recognize that they play a unique role in how people consume information, and their decisions have an impact on every aspect of society. With that power comes accountability and the need for some democratic oversight. Now let's read this tweet from Hillary Clinton, and you can see right here by the date, right? This is April 21st, 2022. For too long, tech platforms have amplified disinformation and extremism with no accountability. The EU is poised to do something about it. I urge our transatlantic allies to push the Digital Services Act across the finish line and bolster global democracy before it's too late. There that is again. So we go back over here. With that power comes accountability and the need for some democratic oversight. Bolster global democracy before it's too late. And again, they're talking about the information, the quote-unquote disinformation on the internet. Now, I got to admit, I never heard of the Digital Services Act before I found those tweets, before I found that tweet. So I had to go and dive into it, and I decided that I would share this with everybody. So let's take a look at this. Here's the EU website. Okay, let's take a look. The Digital Services Act, ensuring a safe and accountable online environment. We provided a link to their full paper so that people can read it. We're not going to go through that. We're really just going to go through the website, which highlights the more important points about the paper and what you should be, quote unquote, concerned with. Okay? So Let's dive into it here. Let's just take a look at their little intro. For the first time, a common set of rules on intermediaries, obligations, and accountability across the single market will open up new opportunities to provide digital services across borders while ensuring a high level of protection to all users, no matter where they live in the EU. Okay, so we're going to protect you, and this is all going to be one single market. All right, here we go. What are the key goals of the Digital Services Act? The new rules are proportionate, foster innovation, growth and competitiveness, and facilitate the scaling up of smaller platforms. I'm pretty sure that we weren't really having a problem with scaling up smaller platforms. Facebook started on a college campus. Apple started in a garage. I don't think that smaller platforms really... Anyways, you know what? I digress. We're going to continue moving on here, but let's just keep in mind the narrative that they're trying to sell, right? Because at the end of the day, they're trying to sell people on a service that's going to help them. So here we go. Better protect the consumers and their fundamental rights online. Establish a powerful transparency and a clear accountability framework for online platforms. Foster innovation, growth, and competitiveness within the single market. They keep mentioning single market, by the way, throughout this. For citizens, what does this mean? More choice, lower prices, less exposure to illegal content.
Who decides what's illegal?
Who decides what's illegal, number one, but number two, if you're not looking for that content, you're really not going to find it. I'm really sorry. Like, you don't just stumble onto a frickin' website selling heroin. That's not how the internet works, okay? I know that people like to think that that's what happens, but it's not. Anyways, for providers of digital services, legal certainty, harmonization of rules, easier to start up and scale up in Europe. If I'm not mistaken, isn't this an issue with the legal system? This has nothing to do with an online presence. This has nothing to do with accountability online. Anyways, I digress. For business users of digital services, more choice, lower prices. Boom, they're getting the same thing as the citizens. More choice, lower price, like a copy and paste. Access to EU-wide markets through platforms. Anyone who opts in, I'm sure. Level playing field against providers of illegal content. The fuck does that even mean? What is that?
Who decides what is illegal content or not?
Well, just wait, Nico. Just wait. We're going to find out who decides that. For society at large, greater democratic control and oversight over systemic platforms, mitigation of systemic risks such as manipulation or disinformation. Okay, so here we go. Which providers are covered, right? Because there's all different types of service providers on the internet, and this website has done a really great job of separating this out for us. So let's take a look. We've got intermediary services offering network infrastructure, internet access providers, domain name registrars, also including hosting services such as cloud and web hosting. Online platforms bring together sellers and consumers such as marketplaces, app stores, collaborative economy platforms. What falls under that banner? And social media platforms. And then very large online platforms that pose particular risks in the dissemination of illegal content and societal harms. This is interesting. The specific rules are foreseen for platforms reaching more than 10% of 450 million consumers in Europe. So for them, all that matters is the amount of reach that the platform has. So therefore, we must impose these rules. Now, we're getting to the point where we're going to start to look at what these rules are, okay? This part I just found interesting because I saw this happen in Canada. I started a small business when I was in my early 20s, and the amount of red tape that you go through is insane, and it raises the barrier to entry for anyone wanting to start a business. So I wanted to point this out. Micro and small companies will have obligations proportionate to their ability and size while ensuring they remain accountable. Because I'm really sure that they're figuring out what every independent business's costs are for staying online and figuring out if what they're quote unquote charging to be accountable is suitable or acceptable or even affordable. Anyways, so now we dive into the list of these new obligations. Now look, we're not going to go through every single one of these things because it is just going to take forever, okay? But I want us to pay special attention to certain things, okay? At the top here, we've got the different types of services I just read off, the intermediary, the hosting, the online, the very large platforms. Along the side, you have these new obligations that they're going to have, and here you can see each of these platforms, what they're going to have to oblige to. One of them is trusted flaggers. This is very interesting, and we're going to come back to it a little further down in the article, but I want people to remember this one. And you'll notice here, for the online platforms and the very large platforms, you'll notice that they have certain responsibilities that the others don't. And then as we get to the bottom, the largest platforms have these very specific responsibilities: risk management obligations and compliance officer, external risk auditing and public accountability, transparency of recommender systems and user choice for access to information, data sharing with authorities and researchers. This means you're going to be mandated. Like there's no, and don't get me wrong, a mandate is complete bullshit, but in legal jargon, the second you use the term mandate, that's it. I have to do this. I have to comply. I must comply. Anyways, codes of conduct, crisis response cooperation. I don't even know what that, who knows what that even entails.
And what about, so, you know, the old trope, right? The government will create a crisis in order to get more power, right? So it's like, what perpetual climate, is that a crisis, right?
Is it?
Anyway, I'm gonna go ham, but yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, don't worry. We're gonna go ham after this. Like, check this out. Okay, so here they break it down, right? And this is where we're gonna learn about the trusted flaggers. Check this out. So, what this means, right? What all of this Digital Services Act means. Measures to counter illegal goods, services, or content online, such as a mechanism for users to flag such content and for platforms to cooperate with trusted flaggers. That's right. We're about to start having mandated reporters online. Get ready for that. This is nuts, at least for the EU. Anyways, new obligations on traceability of business users, effective safeguards for users, including the possibility, this is kind of insane, to challenge platforms' content moderation decisions. That's right. You may own the domain, you may own the website, but somebody else from their organization can come in and challenge your moderation decision on your own content. They make the rules, not your rules, not our rules. Their rules. Anyways, obligations for very large platforms to prevent the misuse of their systems by taking risk-based action and by independent audits of their risk management systems. Who's going to audit? Who's going to audit this? Which businesses? And how do we know that they're not?
The government is, man. The bureaucrats.
It's such a load of nonsense. Access to researchers to key data of the largest platforms in order to understand how online risks evolve. Okay, do you know why I highlighted this in yellow? Because this means all of the data is going to be tracked. Because guess what? They don't know how the risks evolve without analyzing all the data. That's just the honest to God truth. It's not just key points, it's all the data. That's how they do it. They aggregate it all and then they filter. Anyways, oversight structure to address the complexity of the online space. Remember, Nico, you were trying to figure out, who's going to enforce these rules. EU countries will have the primary role, supported by a new European Board for Digital Services. For very large platforms, enhanced supervision and enforcement by the Commission. That's right, Nico, the Commission. Once adopted, the new rules will be directly applicable across the EU. Now, notice there's nobody voting on these rules. There's nobody discussing this. It's simply just when they're adopted. It's a guarantee. You're all just simply going to take it. Now, before I move over to Nico on this, I just want to point out, in my eyes, after reading through this, the only thing that I can conclude is that this is a goose step, one step closer to the digital identity, the enforcement of a digital identity. And this brings us one step closer, because by making all of the corporations and all of the online business places, essentially, we're making them mandated reporters. It's creating this this completely exclusionary intranet where everything you do is entirely tracked and identified and filtered and essentially put into a bucket. And this is scary as hell. And the reason why I showed those first two tweets from Obama and Hillary is because, look, we've got politicians in the United States that are cheering this behavior. And this is the death of true online freedom and innovation. I mean, it is just completely insane. I don't think that it fosters innovation in any way, shape, or form. I think it just creates a moat and more red tape.
It's not meant to do that. It's under the guise, like, this is for the public good, this is public whatever. But kind of back up a little bit. Why is this happening, right? So this movement started back in 2016 when Donald Trump got elected over Hillary Clinton. And the reason that Donald Trump was able to get elected was because he leveraged the internet to circumvent the gatekeepers by using Twitter, by using Facebook, right? And what's happening right now is that the most popular broadcasters, right, are independent content creators, right? Because they're telling the truth. So their usual ways of controlling the narrative, right? Like how they were able to sell the American public on the Iraq war, right? Through legacy media institutions, right? Like the New York Times, like, CNN, Fox News, all of those places. The public trust because they not only they gaslight us, they straight up lie to you. A large percentage of the population is starting to wake up to it. And they're saying, nah. And the fact, and let me tell you how scared these people are of losing control of the narrative and losing control of it. The reactions to Twitter possibly being taken over by Elon Musk, and you have a prior American president and a president political candidate who was Secretary of State openly calling for censorship, and that is completely against the First Amendment of the United States. They know they can't pass this here in this country. But what they can do is that they could pass it in Europe and then make it very difficult for those tech companies, right, to kind of have, rules for the United States and rules for Europe. Why are they doing this? Because they're losing the internet, essentially. It disintermediated information. So all of a sudden you have millions upon millions of people talking amongst each other, right? Circumventing the gatekeepers of the official truth. So they don't know what to do. They're losing their minds. You have Barack Obama literally openly, there was a speech, I'll try to play a clip for you guys, but he openly called, right? Like he said, the information that I don't deem okay is sewage, raw sewage.
Understand, it's not necessary for people to believe this information in order to weaken democratic institutions. You just have to flood a country's public square with enough raw sewage. You just have to raise enough questions, spread enough dirt, plant enough conspiracy theorizing that citizens no longer know what to believe.
Do you know how insane that is? And this is exactly why the Founding Fathers created the First Amendment the way it was. Because the bureaucracy, like in this case of Europe, or the people or the bureaucrats that get to decide what is misinformation and what is not misinformation, are going to become tyrannical. You don't get to decide what is the truth. The truth is the truth. People get to decide on their own what is the truth. But the central planners, they want to get to decide what is the official narrative for you. It is not a coincidence that Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton tweeted this at the same time. We are winning. They're losing control and they're freaking out because of it. And guys, by the way, that word democracy, okay? Bitcoin is not democratic. Bitcoin doesn't move to the mob. It's up to the individual to get to decide what type of Bitcoin software they want to run or not. No matter how much voting power, control, the mob, the government, does not matter. Bitcoin does not move. So what happens if this passes? What's next? Bitcoin's illegal. You can't talk about Bitcoin in Europe. You mentioned Bitcoin, though that giant bureaucracy. No, you can't say those types of things. This is, I wouldn't call it communism. I would say this is more so fascism. This is the merger of big companies and the state. And it's absolutely disgusting. And this is exactly, the Davos, the World Economic Forum agenda. It's clear and present, but they wouldn't take these creatures out of the closet if they weren't in fear of losing the inevitable. They're going to lose this eventually. The truth is always going to surface. Always. It's always going to get out there. It did it in the Soviet Union as well. Everybody knew. But there was this really good quote from Alexander Solzhenitsyn, and he wrote this really great book called The Gulag Archipelago, and it basically described, his experiences in the Soviet Union. The quote that I want to say is, we know they're lying, they know they're lying, and they're lying anyway, right? And we are at this moment in history where these people are literally willing to lie to your face, and they don't give a shit. You saw that with the truckers in Canada. You saw that with Trudeau. They don't give a shit. And the fact that you could talk amongst each other drives them crazy. And the fact that you can transact amongst each other and they can't stop you, which is what Bitcoin enables, that the word above crazy, meltdown, I have no idea. Anyways, Winekiss, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I have chills just listening to you, but I'm going to say that I find it pretty ironic how they put the word democratic in front of anything, making it seem like it's okay. Like democratic oversight, as if you have some sort of choice. Well, I'm going to democratically run my own node, and there's nothing they could do about it. But I'm going to say one thing, that I actually think this is a good thing, because you know what? It's going to cause people to see the control that they're trying to get, and it's going to cause businesses to move from those jurisdictions. It's going to cause people to actually want to host their own information. So in the grand scheme of things, the whole sovereign individual thesis really plays out. I mean, that's what happened in the last couple of years. People started losing trust in institutions and in governments. And I think this is just another step. Like, I don't think people are going to want to be KYCing into the internet to use certain websites or things like that. So maybe the sheep and normies will continue doing that, but the right people will move, or they'll move their businesses digitally, right? Like they'll host whatever information they want outside of Europe if they have to. So it's causing more problems. I mean, I don't know what these governments are thinking, like trying to create these problems that don't exist. And I don't know, like, are they bored? Just go outside, get some sun. Like
it's no, dude.
They're vampires.
I mean, to be honest with you, I'm just going to drop it. We don't get political on this channel, but there's a certain line that you cross. They're fucking communists. That's why. They're central planners. They think they could plan these economies. They think they could plan it better than everyone else can. That's just how it is. That's what they are, right? What I'm seeing there, right? It's funny because the North Korean nation, right? There's these really famous satellite pictures, and you see the division between North Korea and South Korea, right? And North Korea is completely in the dark, right? It's a communist country. But the name of the country is called the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Yeah. So, like, dude, it's insane. It's insane. I don't know what else to say. Optimist.
It's just words, dude.
It's just, it's hidden behind moral virtue and goodness. We're going to make it cheaper. We're going to make it this. But it never does. It's false promises. And you're giving up your liberty, right? What's that quote by Benjamin Franklin, right? If you give up your liberty for safety, you deserve neither, right?
And you'll have none.
Right?
Yes.
This is what you're doing, right? So you're giving up your liberty for this so-called safe internet, right? Anyways, it's absolutely bonkers. Optimus, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, first off, so much sauce right there, guys. Way too much sauce for the people. But first heuristic, guys, is anything Obeezy and Hillary say, like, instantly you just do the opposite of. So, like, I just fundamentally, whatever they say, I just think the opposite, and I know that to be true. So you guys should work off this heuristic as well. It's a pretty good heuristic to live your life by. But to further, add to the points here, what Nico and Phil are saying is absolutely terrifying and also on point. Like, if you're not following along as closely as we are over here on Simply Bitcoin, then this may be slipping through the cracks, and you may think that, these conspiracy theorists out here are, seeing things. But when you're really this close to the information and you see what's happening, you understand that there is a cohesive attack against Bitcoin, and this is the then they fight you stage, guys. So the FUD is out there. They are coming at you right now from all angles. And like Nico and Phil are saying, like, we are the media, not just us here at Simply Bitcoin, but everyone out there that's on Bitcoin Twitter that is memeing, that is creating new Bitcoin ways to spread the orange pill, and also just memeing your friends and family. Like, guys, we're the media. We're the ones that are in control because they are freaking losing their minds out there, and they're throwing anything and seeing if it sticks. And we just keep winning, guys. So keep memeing, keep doing what we're doing, and just double down, guys. Just keep going hard, because you can see it. You can see it.
Absolutely. Color within the lines. Remember, there's a peaceful revolution. Remember, just the mere fact of you taking self-custody, putting your Bitcoin into cold storage, running a node, that's it. That's all you need to do. You opt out. If enough people opt out, we win, and there's absolutely nothing they could do about it. This is the separation of money and state. We are living through it. Of course it was going to be chaotic. Anyways, Phil, it's time for
the Daily Meme Review.
Brought to you by Citadel 21. It's the best Bitcoin cultural zine. It's stories, articles, comics by actual Bitcoiners. True pleb signal in this zine. Every volume has different artwork. This is volume 10. This is volume 11. It just came out, and there's scarce. There's only 1,000 physical copies made per volume. Get your physical print of Citadel 21 today before it runs out. All right, first meme is brought to us by Bitcoin Meme Library. By the way, this is a meme review. We review Bitcoin memes. Anyways, it says, "Wake up, Neo." It's referencing Matrix movie. "I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it." Morpheus to Neo about the Bitcoin door. It's so true, man. Dude, orange pilling people, you could only take them to the door, but they have to cross the door. So it's a very deep meme. Love it. All right. It's by a fellow plebe, John X. Osterman. I still love this meme. "It's been brought to my attention that you've been shitcoining again. Bitcoin is the only way. Have a seat." Can you imagine, like, a principal, like, "Have a seat," Michael Saylor looking at you like that? Oh, man. Okay. And
a banana from the zoo.
There we go. My paycheck. It's true. It's true. Oh, man. This is the best one. This is literally the best one.
Yeah.
Proof of stake. It's all chained up. It has the master log, and it just has the zip tie for that. That is absolutely hilarious. Extremely accurate. All right, moving on. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy. They're going to say that about Bitcoin. I guarantee you. Because Bitcoin ain't democratic, bro. Okay, anyways. Democrat, Republican, psychopath. Absolutely love it. The bull. Love it. All right, moving on to the next one. The SS Facer. Virus didn't work. Fucking starved them.
It's true. You see all those food factories that are like spontaneously going up in flames all of a sudden.
It's like, dude, it's great, man. These people.
Oh man, food just catches on fire.
I'm gonna keep doubling down. If we don't separate money from state, we are fucked. Like, totally. You hear what Phil just read to you? Oh man. Okay, moving on. All right. I'm gonna have to enable the volume for this. So, all right. So it is by Douglas Bonaparte. This is not really Bitcoin. I mean, it is Bitcoin related actually, but I don't know. He's a blue check mark, so I'm cautious. But anyways, it's still hilarious. Twitter bots when you mention Bitcoin. Oh, so I guess he's making fun of us, but this is true. This is the power of the decentralized immune system. Are you ready for this?
We're not bots. bots. We're real people.
That's what I'm saying.
And we're coming to shit on your thread.
They don't understand. They don't understand how it's like what Jack Mahler says, like, we will die on this hill. They don't understand how, like, they still don't get that we are not going back to their slavery money. They don't understand that. This is between slavery and freedom. That's what's at stake here. Anyways, for that, I'm going to give it shout out to Tone and his conference, the unconfiscatable wristband. There you go. What about you, Phil? What would you give those memes?
Well, you know what? It's too bad I didn't have this for the show with David, okay? But I finally got the Bitcoin swag from Represent, so I'm giving it my hoodie, and I'm gonna do like a showcasing here. There you go, the Bitcoin hoodie.
Badass. Anyways, guys, I'm wearing
like a little Bitcoin angel thingy.
There you go. I'm wearing it too. You guys could take advantage of the link down below to get 10% off anything off the rephard.com store, and now they have Bitcoin merch. And David told me that they're going to have even more Bitcoin merch, so definitely want to go check that out. Anyways, Optimus, what would you give those memes?
All right, great memes. Shout out Anna from the zoo. Also, I literally didn't know that chickens flew like that. I just thought they like waddled. So...
They glide. They can't fly, but they could
Yeah, there are some savage chickens flying there. So,
Yeah.
anyways, for my review, I have right here on my desk an orange seed signer.
Okay. All right. Very good. Speaking of chicken,
Very nice.
Surprise appearance from Satoshi the Bitcoin chicken. He's supposed to only cluck when the price of Bitcoin reaches an all-time high, but he got jealous because we were showing other chickens. So he had to,
Well, we are an educational show. So,
Yeah,
I mean, we do like to show some science.
Yeah, this is true. Science.
Science.
We're also psychopaths, according to science. Scientists. Anyways, Wine, what would you give those memes?
Well, it seems like Optimus and I are always on the same page, so I'm going to give him my green designer that I democratically built.
Democratically built.
My democratic score right here.
Okay.
You democratically source the parts?
Yep, democratically source the parts.
And I'm democratically giving this my score. Shouts out to Seed Signer.
Yep, Seed Signer. We support him too. We've donated to his awesome project. I think it's going to become more and more important, right? As perhaps maybe hardware wallets are going to start becoming illegal to purchase.
Air-gap Bitcoin computer. Come on, Nico.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Air-gap Bitcoin computer. This is true. Guys, it's going to get nasty. So make sure to take self-custody of your Bitcoin, run your own node, become sovereign individual, and if you could afford it, start looking into second passports. That's good too. Anyways, guys, we want to know if you agree with our scores, you disagree, let us know down in the comment section. Make sure to subscribe to us on alternative video platforms like rumble.com and bitcointv.com, because they're doing a lot of censoring on Twitter these days. I mean, on YouTube these days, and Twitter too, honestly. And of course, make sure to join our Telegram group, and you can link us some dank Bitcoin memes to review. There's a lot of plebs in there as well. But anyways, Phil, it's time for
the Daily News.
Brought to you by CryptoCloaks.com. They make some of the best Bitcoin merch, like the famous 3D printed Bitcoin art sculpture grenade. Opens up, and you put your favorite hardware wallet in there if you want. You can also get this in any custom color your heart desires. Here are other colors. You got orange and black, white, the Simply Bitcoin colors. Very cool. You can get this in pink if you want to. It's awesome. And you can take advantage of the link down below to get 5% off CryptoCloaks.com. Today, I'm really going to focus on, again, this concept that we've been touching on a little bit, the importance of separating money and state. As long as state controls the money supply, controls money democratically, right? Dude, citizens will never be free. It's like as if they're being held hostage by this mafia, right? And again, like, this is just, it's just crazy, right? Ukraine bans Bitcoin purchases with national currency amid martial law, right? This is the same Ukraine that, used the benefits of Bitcoin, right? They had 100,000 separate crypto donations totaling $54 million, right? So they really, really loved it, right? But now they're banning it. And let's read a little bit more. The Ukrainian central bank is now prohibiting citizens from purchasing Bitcoin with the local fiat currency. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, as it attempts to curb capital outflows under martial law. Under the new rules, the National Bank of Ukraine is also limiting the amount of Bitcoin and shitcoin people could buy with foreign reserves, an equivalent of 3,390 per month. So this is what I'm telling you. It's like they're holding you hostage. It's insane. Anyways, check this out because it's hilarious, right? Regular payments abroad and locally for goods and services do not fall under the umbrella of new restrictions. So if you use their money, no restrictions, right? You know, the money they can censor. The bank added, as it seeks to limit quasi-cash transactions. Didn't seem so fucking quasi when you guys raised $54 million, huh? Anyways, then I kind of dug through this Bloomberg article. There's some signal in here. Anyways, the name of the article is Ukraine's Bitcoin and Shitcoin banker describes how war is changing his life. And in this article, now I understand why they banned it. And let's check it out. Like most Ukrainians, Michael Chobananian, sorry guys, I can't pronounce that, Nico can't read, is reaching for weapons to defend his country from the Russian invasion. Instead of rifles, he's taking up something much more modern, crypto. Michael, 38, oversees the country's growing digital currency war chest, which exceeded 60 million in late March, the result of international outpouring of support. Right? So, you know, they took in all that money, all that Bitcoin, right? But they made it illegal for the common citizen to hold it for sure. What are your frustrations, right? And, you know, they're interviewing Michael in this, right? And this is what he had to say. In crypto, you're always prepared for the worst. You're prepared for the hackers or for police raids or something like that. Health issues, stress, internet access. For me personally was the hardest. The rest was just business as usual. The state of the crypto market obviously has changed a lot. Cash US dollars in Ukraine are pretty much useless. No one wants them. Now let me go back to this, right? Regular payments abroad and locally for goods and services do not fall under the umbrella of new restrictions, the bank added, as it seeks to limit quasi-cash, right? So let me go back. The state of the crypto market obviously has changed a lot. Cash, US dollars, in Ukraine are pretty much useless. No one wants them. Prior to that, dollars were the main payment method for the OTC market. Now, considering that you can't really move cash outside of the country and you cannot store it securely, no one really wants it. Now, the most valuable form of money in Ukraine is crypto. But remember, it's quasi, according to the government. Everyone wants crypto because this is the fastest, the most flexible, easiest, less bureaucratic way to store and spend your money. Crypto is the new king of money in Ukraine. Now you wonder why they're banned it, right? Can't have the citizen, do its thing. One of the reasons crypto adoption has been so high in the Ukraine is the high history of instability of the late Soviet era, corruption and weak currency. What do you think will be the long-term legacy of this war? The fundamental change is that before the war, there were a lot of skeptics, especially in the government and the banks and the military. Now there is no skepticism because they understand that we save lives every single minute with Bitcoin and shitcoin. But apparently, not so much anymore. They would rather have control than save lives, according to this, right? You can't try to ignore it, but you can ignore it when their families are actually fed with crypto, or when the soldiers are dressed in bulletproof vests and helmets in crypto. You cannot ignore that, especially considering that there is nothing you could do with cash. So all the skeptics now understand that Bitcoin and shitcoin is here to stay, and it's really convenient. So I guess that's the biggest fundamental change. Okay, so that was written March 31st. And they banned it for the average person. Called it quasi, but they definitely used it to raise money for their war effort. You heard it from himself. You heard it from that guy himself, a Ukrainian. It's the most sought over currency over there. The hypocriticalness doesn't surprise me. the government is just following their own incentives. They're just trying to maintain control and power. That's just as simple as that. Unless we separate money from state, this will keep happening. The bureaucrat, the government, they're going to hold a giant club over your head and they're going to say, we're doing this for your own safety. Bullshit. And I'm so disappointed in Ukraine. And I know that the Bitcoin magazine, they made a major bet on Ukraine. They opened a satellite office in the Ukraine, and there you go, dude. When the going gets tough for the government because people are choosing not to use the government money, ban. Bullshit, dude. Bullshit. Anyways, Phil.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, right? The government, you can see clear hypocrisy. And of course, they don't give a shit because incentives. So, look, it was fantastic that they got $54.8 million in donations through Bitcoin and shitcoins. But at the same time, right, they can't have their citizens dumping their local currency. They just can't have that because that's where the government gets all their power. So this is really interesting what we're starting to see, Nico, because you essentially have governments. To me, when governments do that, it's the government saying the only thing we know how to do is coerce you with violent money. So that's all we have to offer you. We don't offer any other value because you've been overpaying for subpar services that we force you to take. It's just... They are at this point, right, where they cannot provide value. That is my point. My point is they know that they can't provide value. They know that there's nothing else to do. And it's like, okay, you know what? All we can do is ban them from saving themselves. Do our best to ban them from saving themselves.
And connect.
It's insane.
And connect the dots. Connect the dots with what Phil covered in the Daily Fail, right? They would rather double down on the control, the tyranny, all of that, then give up control. Do you see what's happening here? These are the people. These are your betters. This is the ruling class.
Nico, sweet, comfortable control, right?
Dude,
it's like you said, right?
Remember, we're the psychopaths. Remember, we're the psychopaths according to the scientists. You can't make this shit up. Anyways, Optimus, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I really love that they, take the Bitcoin donations and then they just go up and just rug pull on everyone. So, first off, guys, everyone's a scammer. Quit scamming yourself out of your Bitcoins by donating them to governments. I thought we're here trying to defund them. Stop giving them your Bitcoin. Second off, I really love this news. I'm always super bullish when governments try to ban Bitcoin because it literally just proves my point or our point every time. It's like, of course, an authoritarian is trying to ban freedom money. So, guys, you should see this as bullish because it just proves our point that we have the best money and they're going to try to shut it down. So, winning.
Absolutely, dude. And guys, this might seem dark, but you wouldn't have, prior presidential candidates, prior presidents coming out of the woodwork. You wouldn't have these drastic, measures by governments if Bitcoin was not a threat to them. If the freedom to transact, right, without any fear of repercussions or censorship, that is a threat to them, and that's what they're trying to stop. Anyways, Wine, you had some awesome references to the sovereign individual. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, how many times do you need to have your trust broken to finally stop trusting these institutions and governments? Just like there's perpetual daily fails that we get with all the shitcoin rug pulls, there's always going to be the government pulling a fast one on you. So, I mean, that's all the evidence I need to just not care and just focus on your individual self and try to make the best with the situation around you. That's all.
Absolutely. Anyways, Phil, there was an open source software release today. Why don't you tell everybody about it?
Software releases. Brought to you by CypherSafe. Check them out, cyphersafe.io. Guys, I've been harping on this all last week. Don't store your seed in paper. Paper burns. Paper gets wet, it turns into some kind of mush. Store your seed in the Cypher Wheel or the all-new Cypher Grid. They both come with a tamper-resistant wire, but the Grid also comes with a punch tool. All right, guys, we've got GaloyMoney version 0.1.101. It's down below in the show notes. Don't forget to check us out on our audio-only platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. If you want to stream us sats, check us out on fountain.fm. You could stream us sats with Breeze.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil. All right, guys, that was our show. Before we go, I want to give a very quick shout-out to our awesome guests. Like we've been saying, Optimus, also known as my_livin_truth on Twitter. He has joined Simply Bitcoin. He takes care of our Twitter account, so he's going to be making a regular appearance every Sunday. We're going to invent some stuff. You guys are going to be surprised. And, of course, the legendary Weinicus, who also makes us some awesome memes. And their awesome show / get together. You guys could join. It's live on Twitter Spaces. It's called Bitcoin Kindergarten. It's every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific. Anyways, guys, that was the show. If you enjoyed the show, you know what to do. Smash that like button. Smash it. Of course, you want to continue hearing the Bitcoin news from the pleb perspective and the catastrophic fails. I'm not going to say central planners. Yeah, the central planners. Yeah, tune in for the next episode, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
We're going to quote Nick Zabos, and Optimus Fields reminded us of this one. Trusted third parties are security holes.